All right. Oh, I gotta fix my cam. Dang. 1 second. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know what I did. Let's see. Let's move it up. Sorry about this, guys. I should have checked this before, but I did not realize that my cam was all hunky dory here. All right. I think it's fixed. Maybe not. We'll just leave it. I'll fix it after this stream, but it looks all right. All right, guys. Hello and welcome in to another episode of the Full Send Half Fast Podcast, episode 110. Tonight is our Daytona Speed Week, Daytona 500 race recap podcast, and we're going to have a lot of fun talking about the trucks, ARC Xfinity, and the Daytona 500 on Sunday. We got a lot of talking points here tonight, as well as our Driver of the Week, Bonehead of the Week segments. We're going to announce those here. The polls will be out after this podcast for you guys to vote on. And then we're also going to preview this weekend's NASCAR races at Atlanta. Not Lanta, Hotlanta, whatever you want to call it. We'll give you guys a preview on who we think is going to win those races, as well as fantasy predictions and previews. But first off, I'm here with Tom tonight. Tom, how are you doing, man?
I'm great. We're like 69 days away from Talladega, baby.
Heck yeah, dude. Damn, that's a good count, man. 69 days. That's a good number right there. I like that. 69
Hell
days.
yeah, brother.
God, I cannot wait for Talladega, man. That's awesome. 69 days, man. We're getting close to Talladega. Boy, oh boy. And if we see any type of cup racing like we saw this weekend at Talladega, boy, this is going to be an awesome year at Talladega. Not just for the fun and the party, but the race might be something to look forward to as well in that whole Dega.
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah, man. 69 days. That's awesome.
69.
I love it, dude. Alrighty. I think we should start off with a little bit of news. There's not a lot to talk about here news-wise. One part of the news we're going to talk about when we get to the truck race, and you guys probably know where that's headed with Parker Kligerman. But how about Dodge? The rumors are here. 2026.
Yes, brother! Yes! That's what I'm talking about. That is exactly what is needed in this series. And then in 2027, a potential return to Dodge in the Cup Series, baby. That is what I'm talking about. Sorry, I'm really excited about that. I think that's the coolest shit ever. And it's great. It's great.
I can't believe it, dude. I mean, I've seen these rumors and like, dude, how many years now have we heard the rumors that a new manufacturer's coming in NASCAR? Every damn offseason, it sounds like we're getting a new one. We're getting a new one. This and this and this and that. And so many, we've had Honda, Nissan in the past have been brought up. And then BMW at one time, I remember, was a big hot talking point. Dodge is always the unicorn in the corner of the room that everybody's praying is coming back. And here it is, man. That's awesome, dude. I'm excited. Returning with the trucks, then potentially a Cup Series. I'm excited, man. I think teams that I look at in the truck series that would be beneficial or getting this, we talked about it like ThorSport, right? Because ThorSport, they don't have a manufacturer. They've switched manufacturers more than any other team I've ever seen in NASCAR history. It seems like they're with a new manufacturer every damn year, but I think that would probably be a leading contender. And then another one I was looking at was Nice, man. I think Nice would be a beautiful addition to the Dodge team. I mean, they're already up to like a 4-truck team, 3 full-time, 1 part-time, rising team kind of at the back end of the Chevy deal, you know, with where you have like Spire, kind of the lead Chevy team. I think Nice will be a good fit for Dodge.
I think so too. I think that that's a great point, actually.
So So it was the Ram series, right? So there'd be the Dodge Ram series.
Actually, somebody put together a like a montage of it all, you know. It looks pretty good, actually. But yeah, you know, we'll see. I think
it'll probably be midsummer before we even get a concept or anything out on the internet. I mean, obviously, when that concept comes out, it's gonna be big time. You know, when we actually see like what one of these is gonna look like back on the track, man. But dude, that's exciting, man. Getting 4th manufacturer. Now we just need more. We need more. Because Toyota, everybody's like, oh, it's an Asian man. Well, dude, Toyota's more American than Ford and Chevy are at this point, dude. I mean, most of the cars are made here in America anyway. We need like a Honda or a Nissan or even like a German manufacturer. Bring in like a BMW or a Volkswagen or a Porsche or something. You know, that'd be pretty dope too. So We need, especially considering that we want to go global. We go global, it's going to attract more manufacturers, man. It truly is. I mean, there's a reason why so many different manufacturers are investing in Formula One, because of and even the World Endurance Championship. I mean, how many? What, there's a 15 different manufacturers racing in the World Endurance Championship this year. It's insane, bro. It's insane, and it's because they're going and racing all around the world, man, where they can get in front of the people that are going to buy their cars.
Yeah,
That's what NASCAR needs
yeah,
to do, man. If NASCAR wants to expand and keep growing and being a better sport than it already, well, we could get into it. We've gone into it a lot in this channel, but NASCAR could be a great global branded sport, man. They just got to take the right steps. So I think this is one right in line here with Dodge coming to NASCAR. I'm excited for it, man. It's going to be a huge, huge change in 2026.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Alrighty. I think we should just get right into these race reviews, man. I kind of kept everything short and simple. Just some main talking points I want to talk about. Friday with the Truck Series race. I don't know, man. This was kind of a letdown race for me, dude. I didn't think it was that great, to be honest with you. I thought this race was going to be probably one of the better ones of the weekend. I think it was probably the weakest of all. I don't really count ARC as a race, and we'll get into that here in a minute. But but I just thought this was the weakest Daytona race of the trifecta here this weekend, man. I don't know how you feel about it. We saw it. You mentioned it on the text that we had, Tom. You said it many times. Turn 4, man. Calamity corner, dude. Holy
Yeah.
cow, dude. Turn 4 was nuts in this race, dude.
It was, and we saw a lot of drivers get caught out from rookies to veterans of the sport as well. So it could have been a truck thing, an aero sort of package that they had going on. But I think the whole thing is that Daytona's aging with their track. So and that kind of proved to be the case further on in the weekend. That the track was aging, and honestly, it created some good racing. But I think it was just a little bit too much for these truck guys because, there was a lot of WTF moments kind of going on in that race.
Yeah, dude. I think my biggest surprise of being wrecked out of turn 4 was Caden Honeycutt leading the race. I think he got like a little bit of a bad shove and kind of just went sideways. That was my dark horse pick. I've got a lot of expectations for Honeycutt this year. I mean, if you would go back to any of our NASCAR season preview podcasts back a few weeks ago, me and Tom are both high on Honeycutt this year, being able to do good. And I was really thinking this was going to be a race, so he's going to be able to show his muscle early in the season. He's paired up with Phil Gould again, full time this year. Like, feel like it's going to be a big year. It was unfortunate to see him have his incident and kind of get taken out of this race early. Also, Tony Breidinger, I mean, just absolutely embarrassed herself this weekend, man. That was, I mean, how high have we bet on Tony Breidinger until literally maybe a week ago?
Kind of lost it last year.
Yeah.
Kind of lost it last year. I mean, in a Venturini car, couldn't do anything with it.
She's a clown.
What's the team name again?
Tricon.
Tricon, thanks. Yeah. Again, a great team with some pretty good equipment there. What do you really truthfully like? Let's be realistic here. What are we expecting out of that?
Top 15.
Probably another ARCA Venturini run.
Yeah.
In the best equipment, couldn't win a race. Actually, got less top 10s last year than the year before. I don't know. I think that has run its course.
I agree.
To be honest,
I 100% agree, man. I feel like it's just I don't see the potential that we saw 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and it's just getting worse. It's just dropping off a cliff, man. And she just embarrassed herself this weekend. I mean, it was bad. It was tough to watch. Our stage winners, Ben Rhodes, Matt Crafton. That was pretty cool to see. Matt Crafton was having issues early in the race. Basically gave up, fell out of the draft, but the pit sequence and everything with how the stage is laid out, he ends up winning one of the stages, which was kind of cool. I guess my biggest thing, we saw lots of big wrecks, right? We saw the Raja Caruth, Michael McDowell, they all got kind of taken out in one big wreck, but a lot of it was just bad pushes or aggressive pushes. The trucks were already unstable as it was. We talked about turn 4 Calamity Corner. We saw that all weekend, and Tom alluded to it exactly on point there with the track's aging, man. So I think a lot of the wrecks that we saw was a combination of those things. But the thing is, as Parker Kligerman wins the race, I think that drive at the end by Parker Kligerman was absolutely impressive, man. Like with like 5-6 to go, he was with P10? completely out of contention to win this race. He's making moves to the outside lane, to the inside lane, shooting the gap. I mean, what a freaking drive by Kligerman. Gets through the field, gets the lead. Big wreck happens behind him. And what we saw Thursday, we see a caution. This is going to be the whole theme of this video, or this whole podcast. So buckle in or strap on, everybody, because we're going to keep getting into this here tonight. But we saw it on Thursday, right? Caution comes out, or they start wrecking 100 yards from the finish line. Caution's out immediately. We go to based upon the caution lights. Truck race. Parker Kligerman, he's leading the race. They wreck behind him. Massive crash. I mean, probably 8, 9, 10 cars involved on the back straightaway into turn 3. No caution. They finally call the caution, but that's, again, when they're 100 yards from the start-finish line. When I'm yelling the whole time, caution, 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 because I want to see consistency. We already made a precedent earlier in the week with the duels to throw the yellow, and then they didn't throw it immediately, and they waited till towards him racing to the checkered. That's what gets me, man. I just don't know how much more to explain there. It's just the consistent inconsistency is killing me with NASCAR right now. And I mean, we're going to get into this more with the Cup stuff, but obviously I think the biggest problem that with this entire weekend really centers around the 3 things that me and Tom have harped on and hammered home for the last year and a half on this channel. It's the awful broadcast, which we'll get into that here in a minute.
Oh man.
Yeah. I'll let Tom go ripping on that one here, especially with the truck race, with the Jamie Little thing. So the awful broadcast, the inconsistencies in the finishes of these races, whether we race to the checker, race to the caution light, whatever it may be. And then the third thing is the unsafe cars, which we'll talk about that more when we get to the Cup Series. But in this case, it's, again, the inconsistent finishes, Tom. Just absolutely pathetic. The fact that we're having guys flying at 180 miles an hour, bouncing off of walls, bouncing off each other, parking in the middle of the track, and we're keeping it green where these guys are continuing to fly through these cautions, man. It's just a bad look, man.
Yeah. Where do you even start? You want to start with the broadcast?
Yeah, I think you should go into the broadcast.
Okay.
This is awful, dude.
Look, you go into a race weekend, you read up on, whatever you need to know, whatever race you're going into, and you try to call what's on the screen, to kind of keep it entertaining. Let's be honest, super speedway racing can be a bit boring. It can be. But a good broadcaster can make that race about as interesting as some dude high on shrooms looking on a wall. You know what I mean? Like, that person has the capability to do that. For example, Lee Diffie. Anything he commentates, it's gold. It just turns to gold. He could commentate, a freaking ARCA race where they're going single file for the entire race, and by the end of it, you'll be thinking it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. What did we witness on Friday night?
Monotone,
dude,
death. It felt like you were at a funeral.
I thought I was at a freaking funeral the entire time. Some guy would wreck, and it's like, and there he goes on the rollback. His day is done. Well, goddamn, call the time while you're at it, because the motherfucker dead. That's what it sounds like. I mean, seriously, the Jamie Little experiment. Honestly, it was a valiant effort. It really was. They put a lot of time and effort into it. It just doesn't work. And you know what? You have co-hosts with those race broadcasts too. Shame on them too. Because they're supposed to be helping, and they aren't. It's that whole broadcast team, from the producer to the people who are talking on the broadcast to everybody else in between, planning out everything that they're saying, from the programs that are happening in between the racing, to the freaking commercials. Yeah. What was I watching? Some kid walking out like Mike Tyson and then dying in the next scene?
Oh my god, dude, that was
Good
so
Lord.
bad.
What am I watching? It's terrible. It's terrible from the product to the ads to the people. It's just so bad. It's so bad. And look, Jamie Little, if you ever see this, I don't know if you do or whatever. You're a freaking amazing pit reporter.
The gold
you
standard.
really are.
Yeah.
You made that standard. I guarantee you, Regan Smith has just watched your footage on how to pit report. I guarantee you, Parker Kligerman has done the same exact thing. And those guys are phenomenal at what they do. And you are phenomenal at pit reporting as well. It just doesn't work out with the race broadcast. Again, shame on the people around you for not helping you in that situation. It's not just the Jamie Little show. Okay, there's other people in that broadcast booth that can help, but I just think the experiment has run its course. It's so freaking bad. Jamie, you probably have tried. I don't doubt that at all. I really don't. But it's bad. It's done. We go from the truck race to straight into the CW, and they freaking kill it, man. They freaking kill it on the broadcast. The CW is the gold standard when it comes to reporting and broadcasting a race. Oh my god! The steps that they have taken in order to make that broadcast amazing has just been phenomenal. The play-by-play is just out of this freaking world. They are so good at calling anything on the racetrack, whether it's on the racetrack or in the pits, or when the cars are pitting, wrecks. The wrecks are happening, and they're commenting through it. They're telling you, they're showing you what's happening. Something that you may be looking at the other side of the screen on while they're looking at this side of the screen. You start to get the full picture the first time around, not by the third replay. I mean, those guys, good God. I mean, seriously. Freaking phenomenal, man. Phenomenal. And then we go right back into the Cup Series. It's freaking terrible, man. It's just so goddamn bad. But I just... And maybe it's just a little bit of a pet peeve of mine. I don't know. It's just so bad, man. I don't even know what you can do to turn it around now. I think Fox has just got that reputation of just having some god-awful broadcasts. And they're in such a deep hole right now, man. It's going to require a new regime at this point. I'm probably a name change, honestly.
I agree. I think really it kind of all started with Jeff Gordon. I think Jeff Gordon ruined it, because what did we have before Jeff Gordon got in there? We had DW, who really didn't know shit about the race cars anymore. He'd been so far removed, but he just knew how to make it entertaining. And that made
he was funny.
Everybody else feed off of his energy. Even Mike Joy would feed off that energy. Larry McReynolds would feed off that energy. They took McReynolds out of the booth, which he wanted to get out, which makes sense.
Even Michael Waltrip, man.
Michael Waltrip, dude. I think he's an idiot, but listening to him in the booth, it's just fun as hell, man. Like he made Phil Parsons. Phil Parsons is a moron, by the way. You put him and Jamie Little in the booth together for the ARCA race, freaking terrible, dude. Like they don't stand a freaking chance, dude. But when you would put Michael up in there with Phil Parsons, dude, that was an entertaining broadcast, dude. Like it actually was good. And I love what you said about CW, man. I never thought Adam Alexander was good at all. My perspective of him completely changed 180 after this weekend, man. Like, I don't know what it was. I don't know how they did it. But him, Parker Kligerman, and Jamie McMurray, they just fed off each other so good. Like, it just sent, like... See, when you watch, like, Boyer and Harvick, right? The whole time, they're just appendage measuring. The whole time. Boyer says something. Harvick's got to one-up it. Boyer's got to one-up that. Because they both have to try to be the smartest guy in the booth. And it's so annoying.
You know the whole Harvick deal with his catchy one-liners and everybody.
Yes.
Ooh, he's so funny. It's not funny.
It's not. No.
It's just call the freaking race. Stop trying to be something that you're not. You're not a Darrell Waltrip.
No.
You're not the boogity guy. All right? That's a coined phrase. You're not going to make a coined phrase. You just...
Be yourself.
I mean, unless it's...
and yourself is boring.
Just... I'm starting to think that maybe this is just a producer thing. Because the CW can kill it. And what? They're half a year in?
No, because last year they didn't even have their own broadcasting. This is their first race. Last year they basically just used the CW produce. They had the NBC producers, they had the NBC crew. It was basically NBC just on CW. That was all it was last year. This was the first legit race where they had full control of production, full control of their own cameras, their own overlays, their own pit reporters,
Impressive.
their own, an
Impressive.
insane opener. I mean, it's the gold standard. I say it all the time. Like, I think the gold standard of motorsports broadcasting in modern day is Lee Diffie, Calvin Fish, Townsend Bell when they call the IMSA races on NBC. Those are the best broadcasts. And like Tom said, the super speedway racing is hard to call. We've done it. It's freaking hard to call a super speedway race. It is extremely hard. The next hardest thing to call is a road course race, specifically a sports car race. When you have multiple classes of racing, you're trying to keep up with all the different races going on within the race, and then trying to find topping cocking points when you got cars spread out with multiple pit. It's really difficult to do those as well. And the fact that CW was able to do it with Adam Alexander, Jamie McMurray, Parker Kligerman, and was absolutely phenomenal. And then what Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, and Calvin Fish could do without the IMSA side. I mean, you just look at these as gold standards, man. That's all I'm saying. And I'm excited to see Will Buxton in the booth with Townsend Bell and Hinchcliffe in the IndyCar. I think they're going to do a phenomenal job too. It's just there's gold standards, and then there's NASCAR and Fox, and that's just what it is, man.
It really is. And it's a damn shame, honestly. At the time, I probably took for granted what Darrell Waltrip brought to the broadcast team, because I thought he was just annoying. But you know what? At this point, I'd rather have that.
Me too.
I'd rather have that Darrell Waltrip back. It's just because of, I guess, the lack of personality that we have now. And you know what? You could even dig a little bit deeper. The lack of personality that we see in drivers today as well.
It's so buttoned up. Everything's so serious.
Yeah. Well, it just must be a generational thing or something. I don't know. It's just weird.
I don't know though, man, because like we're kind of idiots, and a lot of the drivers racing nowadays are our age group, our own age range,
Well, let's take William Byron for example. He's about as exciting as a brick.
Yeah, 100%.
And then let's take Carson Hocevar on the flip side.
That's true.
Or Carson has that.
Yeah.
Or
like
Raja,
a lot of the younger guys. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's just that one middle generation here. It's like
It's just weird.
Yeah, it's just like the generation before was entertaining. This one sucked. This one's entertaining. I don't know. Yeah, you could be right on that one. That's a good point.
I don't know. It's just so weird. I don't know.
Well, at least we didn't have a crank it up under yellow or under caution. We had one under pit stops. I thought we were gonna get one under commercial, but we didn't.
Well, we did get one with 16 laps to go.
It was
we got
under
the helmet. Under the helmet to deal. What the fuck? What the hell?
Oh my god! It was just so boring. And just like, and then they talk to you like
rub my eyes of the freaking cancer that I just witnessed. Like, good lord.
It was just bad. Yeah, so the broadcasting was awful. I mean, that's really what you could chalk that down to, with the whole weekend. We'll get into the next 2 points here as we get through the rest of these recaps. I do want to talk about the ARCA race. Tom, my biggest point is, I said this when we got on the podcast. Anybody on the internet right now saying that ARCA should not be racing at Daytona and Talladega is an absolute idiot. And this is why. If you jumped in to watch this ARCA race expecting to see a race, you're an idiot. That's not why you tuned in. Be honest with yourself. Why did you tune into this ARCA race? You tuned into this ARCA race because you were just going to sit there and just see what the hell is going to happen, because that's what it is. There's a reason we run the MX5 Cup and we watch the hell out of it, because every MX5 Cup race I've ever seen, I've seen a car flipping end over end. I saw a 20 car pile up at frickin' Watkins Glen. You watch these preliminary events because you don't know what the hell's going to happen. That's what the ARCA race is, man. It's not supposed to be this big professional sport. It used to be called the Poor Man's Cup Series, and that's what it is, man. This is their Daytona 500. Guys racing in this are never going to ever step foot inside of a truck in an Xfinity car. They're never going to go drive an Indy car. They're never going to go drive a GTP around that Daytona, Like, this is what you came to watch, was to watch the carnage and the action. I told you flat out, we've said it multiple times, ARCA's not racing, man. And maybe it's because you guys don't watch ARCA races like me and Tom do. I'm pretty sure we watch just about every damn ARCA race all year long because it's so damn entertaining. That's what it is, man. You go to most races, 3 cars are on the lead lap at the end. Half the cars are totaled or starting parkers because they can't afford a second set of tires. That's what the ARCA series is, man. And that's what makes it entertaining. That's what makes its own little slice. And taking Daytona and Talladega away from them is an absolute crime and a shame. Because what we saw wasn't a race, and we knew it wasn't going to be a race. But was it freaking entertaining? Hell yeah, it was entertaining. Every series in the world needs that one series. F1 has F2. It's not because it's a freaking pipeline to F1. It's because it's F freaking 2, man. You don't know what the is going to happen next. In the NXT or USF Pro 2000s. Have you seen a USF Pro 2000 race? Dear God, it's a freaking junkyard every week. I mean, this is what we watch it for. If you want to watch the legit, just don't watch it if you don't want to see the entertainment and the wrecks. I'm not asking for that every week in all series, but having it every once in a while is an entertaining factor, man. And I thought this damn thing was entertaining. I think me and Tom text back and forth more in the damn ARCA race talking about all the idiots than we did talking about any of the actual racing that happened in any of the other races. Because it was freaking entertainment, man. You can't script this. With Big Willie, again, shows up to Daytona without brakes on his race car. You can't make it up. It happened. We watched it live in the first 4 laps. I mean, a guy, this dude Dennison, I think that was his name, loses it off the Calamity corner turn 4, gets out of the car, and he goes through the infield care center, gets checked out. They interviewed him, and he said he had a great time sliding through the grass. That was fun. I mean, that's what you want to see. How are you not entertained? I mean, am I on point here, Tom? I mean, that was great stuff, man.
Yeah. It was an ARCA race. It was an ARCA race.
Oh, man. Amber Balkan being an absolute clown. I mean, some
Menace.
guys
Menace.
flying through wrecks and just slamming. Even I think Cletus said it best, man. He zigged when he should have zagged. And everybody else did the same thing. I mean, let's talk about Cletus, man. He made the whole show.
Yeah,
he made the whole show. I mean, his interview at the end was freaking fantastic. They should have had him on one of those in-race reporter for the race, you know? Like, just put a mic on him the whole time and just let him talk the whole time he's racing. Just see what happens. Even if you put it on, what are they at? NASCAR's got the HBO Max partnership. Even if they would have just put it on freaking HBO Max and said, hey, viewers' discretion is advised, and just let him rip with the helmet on, you know, inside the car. It would have been amazing entertainment, man. I mean, I enjoyed the hell out of that, man. I mean, it wasn't a race, obviously. It was cars going around a circle, surviving, not crashing. We had, 8, 9 cars in the front of the field at the end of it. Typical Daytona ARCA race. It's been that way since the beginning of time watching these damn ARCA races. I mean, that was an ARCA race, man. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. It was an ARCA race.
And I pray we keep ARCA at Daytona and Talladega for the rest of time. It needs to be. Yeah. That is our highlight of our Talladega trip, dude. Trying to pick a winner for the freaking ARCA race because we never know what the hell's going to happen.
No.
That Saturday for the ARCA race, because we know we got the Xfinity coming, which is the gold standard of racing. So we know we're getting a damn good race on Saturday regardless, but we get a double header. We get the damn ARCA cars before, and we just get to see what the hell happens. And we're 3-4 brewskis deep, maybe a couple shots by then, having a good old time. And it's just, we sit back and laugh our ass off at the big wrecks that happen at Talladega. You can't take them away. You can't take them away from Daytona and Talladega. I don't care what you say. If you believe in that take, you're an idiot, man. You watched this race for the wrong reason, man, because it wasn't a race, dude. It was for the entertainment factor. And I get it. Maybe it does look like a bad look putting it on Big Fox, but we weren't the ones that decided to put it on Big Fox. You idiots were. So, I mean. Oh, man. All right, Jersey Bears in the Chase says, Ryan Priest, ouch. Wait, they weren't on shrooms? They were on some down.
It might as well be.
Oh, man.
That's a fact.
Alrighty, so that never mind. We didn't even talk about the winner. The winner of the race, obviously, Butterbean, Brennan Queen, man. Awesome way to start his season, man. I think he's a championship favorite, dude, honestly. I just don't see anybody else being able to compete with him. And this isn't even his bread and butter, dude. Wait till we get to these short tracks. He's going to dominate these short tracks, man. Like, he's going to run away with the
start to the season. Oh,
yeah.
Great start.
And he went to Waffle House for some chocolate milk. I like that, too. Oh, man. All right, now it's time. We talk about the gold standard race of the weekend, Tom. The Xfinity Series United 300, man. What an absolute race. Austin Hill, absolutely dominant, man. Every time we see, that is kind of the racing I like, right, Tom? I like watching a dominant car and a dominant driver at a certain craft be dominant doing something. Like that was just impressive to watch. And that's coming from an Austin Hill hater, man. I don't like him at all. Like I can give less than 10 shits if he wins or loses anything for the rest of the time. I don't care, you know? But what he was able to do Saturday, Tom, that was super impressive. Any lane he went to, controlled it. He was able to, I mean, at one point he lost his track position. And within 5 laps, he's making moves back to the lead. And then when he got to the lead, nobody could pass him. I mean, Austin Hill is an absolute generational talent on super speedways, and that's an absolute fact, man. That I don't know what they're doing at RCR because we saw it late in the race with Jesse Love. When Jesse Love got to lead, he was able to control it too. Absolute phenomenal, man. Those RCR cars were fun to watch. Kept it entertaining. The amount of moves they were able to make kept the pack at bay, and we didn't see a whole lot of cautions either. We did late, but I mean, we got one early with Brandon Jones getting involved. Daniel Dye, unfortunate for him. Hill sweeps the stages. Unfortunately, doesn't win because of the rear end issue. I mean, that car was just dumping fluid, Tom. I mean, all over the place. We were talking about it. I mean, I would have parked that thing many laps before. I've had a rear end leak in fluid, and that is one of the most annoying, god-awful stenches. It makes you sick. The fact that he rode it out as long as he did was quite impressive to me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. What was really surprising to me is with how this track has aged and how bumpy it was and how bad these drivers were struggling, even bumping each other, like what they do on super speedways, the oil or grease that was coming out of the hub, it was painting that rear tire gloss. You could see it from hundreds of yards away on the racetrack from the camera. It was nice and shiny, and it just looked like he had everything under control. I mean, huge props to whoever built that car and set it up and all that other stuff, because man, that was an absolute rocket ship.
Yeah, it was impressive how fast it was. And why I say the Xfinity Series is the gold standards, and Tom said it again, and I think that is the biggest takeaway this entire weekend. This Daytona track is aging like fine wine, man. Like, when it gets worn out like it is, these guys were driving those race cars. Even in the Xfinity Series, man, those cars were not stable. You saw so many times where a guy would get a shove and you would go break sideways. There was so many crazy saves that they didn't really focus on too much, because unless you were paying attention, like really closely watching for that stuff, or you understood it, you weren't seeing it. And I think that's what a lot of fans probably didn't see it or didn't pay attention to it. But that race was so much fun to watch. Sheldon Creed had a really fast car. Sam Mayer was up there at the end with a fast car. The Joe Gibbs Toyotas at the end were really fast with William Swalich and then Justin Bonsiger. Obviously, they kind of got wrapped up in a late race crash. But Connor Zilich was fast. I mean, he had a roller coaster of a day. Just again proves why he's a generational talent. I mean, he wrecks early. Basically looks like his race is done. They give a little bit of repair, and by the end of the race, he's battling for the win. I'm like, how the hell? And he has never done that before in his entire life. Raced at Daytona on the big oval. I mean, yeah, he's run IMSA there with the road course of Men's Dynamics 5 Cup and stuff, but I mean, Connor Zilich was impressive. I mean, he gets taken out late. I think he started blaming Creed, which I don't really think it was Creed's fault. I think that was just typical Daytona. I mean, with how squirrely these cars were, the big shoves they were getting, it was bound to happen. I mean, that's just what it is. And we'll talk about that more when it gets to Cup race with a lot of the complaints people have been talking about. But that's just what it is, man. I guess we could talk about it now. I mean, the ideal racing that me and Tom love with super speedways has been two-car tandems. We talk about it all the freaking time. It's the best racing. You fans didn't freaking like it. You hated it. You shit on it. And we had to get rid of it. So what did NASCAR do? We got rid of two-car tandem, and we went back to pack racing. And now we're 15 years removed, and now all you do is bitch that we have these big, massive wrecks at the end of these races. What did you think was going to happen when you bunch up 30 cars in a freaking pack? You're going to have wrecks. That's what happens at the end of these races. That's what it is. Especially with Denny Hamlin. We could talk about that later too, but I listened to a little bit of his podcast. He made a lot of good points in his podcast. But the thing that I didn't understand is he said, these drivers just have no respect. They just run each other over. And at the end of these races, they aren't patient enough. And it's like, well, we've set a standard of racing in the Cup Series over the last 15 years, and it just progressively gets more and more to this evolution of the end of these races, you don't lift. And that's just what happens, man. That's just what happens. That's what this racing is. And you have to accept it or just quit doing it, because that's what it's become. And it's because you keep taking steps to make these cars more equal. You keep taking steps to eliminate bump drafting. You get penalized now if you lock bumpers. I mean, there's just all these steps that you're taking away for putting it back into the driver's hands, and you're putting it into just luck or randomness or survival. And that's what you've evolutionized the sport to. And then you can't come back later and bitch that that's how the sport is going. That's my biggest complaint.
I still think that there is a point of, the drivers aren't being patient enough. Sure, that could be an argument, but at the same time, you can't really put that on the drivers. Because of the situation that they're in with the cars themselves, that's what they have to do. They have to do that in order to put themselves in the position coming off of turn 4 to go and win the race. They have to. Or else they're going to come off of turn 4 still in 10th place and not have a shot at winning it. Their shot at winning it comes from the back straightaway. Actually, it starts going into turn 1. That's where their race winning move comes from. And honestly, if you're not planning what your exit of turn 2 and back straightaway strategy is, you might as well have a name change to Corey LaJoy, because you just don't know what you're doing. I guess, if you're content with just finishing 10th place, are you really a race car driver? Are you really there for the competitiveness, for the sport, for the building of the sport? Are you really there for all that? Or are you there for the fame? To me, it's more of like a 75-25 split, and that 75 goes to the car.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. I think the Xfinity race was fantastic. The best car.
I was speaking more on the Cup Series. Though.
Yeah, we'll get more to the Cup Series in a second. But yeah, I agree with the Cup Series too. But yeah, I just love the Xfinity Series. I think it's a gold standard of stock car racing. I enjoyed that race. Jesse Love ends up winning, which was an awesome moment. Excuse me. And I think he was a deserving winner. He had probably the second best car. I think your top few were pretty accurate, because Sheldon Creed was one of the top 5 cars. He finished third. All day he was one of the faster cars. Austin Hill, obviously with his issues, didn't be able to finish, but still RCR wins with Jesse Love, which was an awesome way to start the season. And I would put Jesse Love as somebody that's going to be a championship contender this year. I really do. I think he's matured a lot, and you saw it through this race, because he didn't race super aggressive like he has before. He kind of just bit his time a little bit, and then he got there at the end, and then he was able to control the lanes. Man, it was impressive. And the move that he made at the end to make that block down to the inside, when it looked like he was just barely clear, dude, that was that was the race winning move, man. That was so good to watch it. I guess we didn't even talk about it, dude. We got to talk about that idiot that drives that number 5 car in the Xfinity Series. I didn't know spotters drove race cars, man. That was impressive,
dude. That's where you get the hell yeah, brother. Oh, the Alabama Bama man.
Alabama Bama. Yeah. Oh, man. That guy was an idiot, dude. I think I texted you live when it happened. I was like, because somebody was trying to blame it on brakes because they were trying to give him an easy way out. And I think I texted, I was like, that was nothing to do with the brakes, because when you watch it, the brakes never locked up until he got into the grass. So there's no way that was a brake issue, man. Because if it was a brake issue, it wouldn't have been able to lock him up in the grass, Like, the brakes would have never worked. He wouldn't have slowed down, Like, he just completely sent it in there and then blamed his spotter for him not hitting the brakes. Chris Wright is an absolute freaking moron. We've said it many times. I think we said it last year. Many times on Shannon, watched him in the ARCA series. He was an absolute freaking clown in ARCA. Did this shit all the time. And now he's moves up to the Xfinity, and it's worse. I'm gonna steal that quote from Dallas. That was a beautiful quote. What was it? Right place, wrong speed.
Yeah.
Oh, Dallas, that was
Yeah,
a good one.
I, I, they gave up Anthony Alfredo for this guy.
Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. It's gonna be a long year. That team is. You know what it reminds me is AM Racing with Brett
Yep,
Moffitt. That's what this
yep.
100% reminds me of. Pay driver coming in, taking over for somebody that's talented. Yeah, unbelievable, unfreaking believable. He not only is he going to be a nominee for Bonehead of the Week, but I think he might even be a nominee for Bonehead of the Year. We did that last year. I mean, I just don't see how he can't be at this point. Big Willie was on it last year. He made his splash at Daytona. This year, Chris Wright makes his splash at Daytona, and I think he'll always be remembered for this. That was the dumbest thing ever. He had multiple times to take brakes as blame, but he didn't go with brakes. He just straight up didn't even blame himself. He blamed his spotter. That was unbelievable. Couldn't believe it. Oh man.
What a guy.
What a guy. What a guy. Alrighty. Let's talk about the Cup race. A last little talking segment here for the race weekend. I just want to go over a couple things like Logano and Blaney both sweeping the stages. Penske was unbelievable in this race. I think they were the best cars in the field, and I don't even think it's a question to it. Logano having his issues going a lap down with the airbox, and again, terrible broadcast trying to explain to us how an airbox works, or that a intake manifold has holes is what they're trying to tell us. I mean, just the dumbest shit they were telling us. But yeah, he had his issues, was able to recover, battle back to the front. I guess before we get into our big rants and everything that we want to talk about, let's talk about the race as a whole, man. Because god damn you NASCAR fans have been absolutely ripping and reaming this race all the last 2 days. I've read every comment section. It made me so mad. I came on here and made a video like 2 in the morning because I was so mad. This was a damn good race, man. This was the best super speedway race we've seen in the next gen era. And I would even argue the best Daytona race we've seen in 15 years. Tom brought up a good point pre-stream that some of the Talladega races in the Gen 6 car were really good. And I would have to 100% agree with it. Some of those Talladega races were really good. But then again, the track age was about what we are at Daytona right now with a lot of those Gen 6 races. But this was the best Daytona race since 2012, in my opinion. I think this race was absolutely awesome. Everything you could want. You had everybody saying all they do is just fuel save. And it's like, yes, they were doing some fuel save. I'm not going to argue with you in that one. But it's not like the fuel saving we've seen over the last couple of years where they just run side by side in a gridlock for 40, 50 laps. No, track position was at a premium. These guys were having and really trying to gain their track position. What was the thing we'd said probably 100 freaking times, Tom? Those runs were massive. You would see one lane completely die, and you'd be like, that lane's done. They're not going to be able to recover like we've seen the last couple of years. And then it strings out to single file. No, that line would fight back. It was like if you didn't like where that line was at now, what was the motto? Wait a lap. And then you'd wait a lap, and there they were. We'd be back. The outside line would be back fighting again, or the inside line would be back fighting again. I mean, the runs were massive, and these guys were smart about it too, and they weren't making stupid blocks. We didn't see stupid blocks at the end of the race. That was what you expect from a super speedway racing. And the second thing, Tom said it multiple times on this podcast, the track is aging at Daytona, and it is aging perfectly. The handling was at an absolute premium every time they'd show a car coming off of turn 2 or turn 4. Or even down the back straightaway. These guys are freaking wheeling them, man. Those onboards, watching those guys maybe get a little tight, float up the track, and hanging on to it, almost hitting the guy next to him, or getting a little sideways, and you see the wheel correction. That was racing, man. That was damn good racing. And then the best part about it, why you know it's a good race? When the best cars find themselves to the front of the field. That's when you know it's a good race. When the cars are driving bad, guys have got them set up with better handling. Maybe they've got a little bit more trimmed out. Maybe they're a little quicker down the straightaways. The best cars would always find a way to the front in this race at certain points. We saw it all night long with the 12, the 22, the 2, the 48, the 9, the 17. probably the 6 best cars in the field, they would always find a way back to the front. That's what I enjoyed about it. What a damn good race. You guys are the fans that are complaining that all they do is wreck. And then when they don't wreck, there wasn't enough wrecks. It's like, make up your damn mind. I mean, what the hell do you want from a super speedway race? Tell me, honestly, because I want to know. What I saw on Sunday, that was a perfect super speedway race. I don't think, only way you get better than that, and we could beat this to the day we die, 2-car tandems would be the only way you could beat that plate race. That was the best pack racing plate race you could have asked for. It was phenomenal. It was magical. It was cinematic. I loved it.
Yeah. I think the best part, and to really break it down here, Jay, was just the unpredictability of the lanes and how much of a run that they got. And again, I'm not crediting the car at all for this. I think it all has to do with the changing state of the track surface. And I think that when we come back to Daytona, it's going to be even worse because it's going to be through a shit ton more heat cycles, and it's going to get a lot worse on track. And when the Cup Series went out there for qualifying, those cars bouncing on the back straightaway was an absolute spectacle. It really was. And you could tell that the teams adjusted for that during the race because we didn't see that a lot, and it could have been just race trim versus Q trim, but still, I just think that there's a lot of magic happening on the track surface at Daytona, and it's only going to get better. And you know what, Jay? I'm even more skeptical to say that maybe these cars just prefer worn out surfaces. Look at Auto Club before it got tore down. That was a freaking banger of a race with the Gen 7 cars. And what was the deciding difference there? It was track surface. That track was, I mean, I'd be walking into probably like, equivalent for us civilians. It'd probably be like walking into the oldest Waffle House and just seeing how beat down to crap that place is. But the food is still, I mean, it's Waffle House, magical. It's a magical Waffle House trip, It's still good, That's kind of like, well, just maybe that's what these cars prefer. Maybe.
Yeah, you could be 100% right. I mean, I just don't see what there is to complain about with the actual racing that we saw. I mean, you could say they're fuel saving, but that wasn't really like, it wasn't like fuel saving we've seen in the past. Like I say that all the time. It's like, it wasn't a gridlock. It really wasn't. And we were talking about that during the watch party. We were saying, oh man, this next stage, man, I'm skeptical. Stage 1 was so much fun. But we had the rain and everything, and the way that all the cautions laid out, we didn't have to do a lot of fuel save. I was like, stage 2 is going to be bad. Well, in stage 2 is the same scenario, and they raced the exact same as they did in stage 1. And then even in stage 3, they raced that way. It was like the whole race they were racing. I mean, they were fuel saving at times. I mean, you could tell some guys would fall back and maybe lose a little bit of track, but just saves a little bit of fuel. But then when it was time to go, best cars always would take it back to the front. That's when you know they're racing, man. It was a damn good race. I enjoyed it. I guess where this race kind of falls flat, and it's same things we always complain about. First, though, we do have to talk about the Joey Logano bonehead idiotic move. I mean, you explained it perfectly well in the watch party. I think you should go back into it again. Too early racing, being an idiot, making a move.
Yeah, I mean, you had 47 miles or somewhere around there miles to go in the race. You have a guy who's getting his one shot to win a race in a year, which is Stenhouse, and him just blocking like a freaking lunatic. All right, we saw it. We saw the wreck happening for like half a lap. In fact, no, we saw it for like 3 laps because of what Stenhouse and LaJoie was doing. All right, and then we saw Joey Logano trying to win the race with 47 miles left to go. They're both freaking idiots. I mean, and all the frustration that Kyle Busch showed on when he came out of the med center. Yeah, you had one guy trying to win the race with 47 miles left in the race, and then you had another guy who's so damn impatient, blocking everything that's coming up to him for multiple laps. I mean, they're both idiots. They're both morons. And then on top of that, you just kill a whole bunch of guys that just were bystanders. It's just, to me, it's so freaking unnecessary, man. So unnecessary. And we're talking about veterans of the sport. These guys are veterans. They are veterans. All right? And I have no explanation. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. I think Cindric was the one who said it the best. If you come into these super speedway races and have emotion that come with it, you're never going to win it. Because you make stupid decisions. You have to come emotionless. If something happens to you, you got to keep pushing forward. Oh, well, it happens to everybody. I got to try to make the best result that I can out of it. And honestly, I mean, Cindric actually displays that very well. Especially when it comes to super speedway races. I think he's probably one of the next Brad Keselowski's when it comes to super speedway racing. But you seriously got to... honestly, that's probably some of the best statements to come out of Cindric ever. Like, I mean, this guy, again, I mean, he's just like William Byron. He's about as interesting as a freaking brick. But, he actually said something that, makes a lot of sense and honestly could hold his own against people like Joey Logano and Stenhouse. And I don't know. They're both freaking morons. I don't understand it. I don't.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I the way I look at it, I still am going to put more blame on Logano just for the fact that he had the best car 47 miles to go. Was that new for 8th that necessary at that point? No, definitely not. Especially when you saw Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon, those guys on the bottom lane. A lot of those guys were actually in fuel safe because a lot of those guys knew that they weren't going to make it to the end or they were concerned about making it to the end. It was going to come back to you. And like you said, Cindric wouldn't have made that move at that point. Maybe that just shows the maturity of somebody that hasn't won a championship and somebody that's won 3. I don't know. I just think it was stupid. It was stupid. But yeah, Kyle Busch, what a freaking national treasure, man. Gets out of the car. His comments was some of the best of the weekend, man. I love listening to him say that. That was great. He drove himself into a crash with 47 miles to go.
Yeah.
Oh, that was beautiful. Yeah, so we went over basically all the reasons why this race was good. Now the complaints, obviously the broadcast, we went deep into that already. There's no point to do that again. We do want to talk about that phantom caution that happened late in that race with 40 to go. Took us out of, because remember you left for a minute and got back and they were under yellow and you were asking me what the yellow was and I was like, I don't even know because they didn't say it was debris. They didn't show debris. They didn't talk about debris. They just said it was a caution. And then later to find out it was just a phantom caution, right? They just threw a phantom caution.
Yeah, it was a phantom caution.
Yeah, it does make sense to me. And it got
And
robbed out of green flag stops.
We were 10, 15 laps away from green flag stops. I mean, golly, guys. What are we doing?
That would have changed the whole complexion of the race. We probably wouldn't have had a big wreck at the end. We wouldn't have had controversy. We probably could have had 8, 10 cars battling for the win when it all spreads out through green flag stops. It would have been extremely interesting to see how those guys could execute on and off pit road. So I say this all the time, but my favorite part about these damn plate races are the damn green flag pit stops. It changes the race in so many ways, man. There's so much opportunity for mistakes on pit road, speeding, loose, uncontrolled equipment, loose wheels. I mean, whatever it may be, not getting it topped off with fuel, maybe taking fuel only 2 tires, executing, getting with your teammates. I mean, there's just so many factors that play into it, and we didn't even get that in this 500. And that was one sour taste I have in my mouth about this race. Other than the fan complaints. I mean, I swear NASCAR fans hate NASCAR more than they like. I just don't get it, man. The people that hate NASCAR the most are the NASCAR fans. It's insane to me. It's insane to me. Like, I go to any other motorsport and then watch their highlight videos or watch any of their talking heads, and you'll see a couple people complaining, but most people are just excited about the race. And it's because and I think that goes back to my first point, Tom, is I don't even know if I said this on the podcast. I know I talked about off air, but I get why NASCAR does some of the things they do. It's because they're never going to win in the realm of argument or the realm of racing. They're never going to be able to surpass IMSA. They're never going to be able to surpass F1 or IndyCar when it comes to actual racing. So they have decided that if they're not going to be able to win in the realm of racing, the only way they could beat them is in the realm of entertainment. So I understand why they do the things they do because they're trying to be entertaining. But in doing so, they ruin the entertainment with the inconsistency, and they ruin how entertaining it could be with the inconsistencies of trying to manufacture the entertainment. That's the biggest problem here. When you can't win in the realm of racing, the realm of entertainment is your only route, and they can't even win there. And it's sad. And especially when you can't even, if you're going to go full bore with this entertainment, let's just get WWE style announcing. You might as well at this point, because that's what you're trying to go for. Let's do it that way. I mean, there's just so many little things that they do wrong, and the inconsistency in the finish. Again, they're wrecking, but then we race to the end. And Tom brings up the best point about Tyler Reddick. You should go back into that, because more I think about it and the more I watch it, I 100% agree with your take.
Yeah, I mean, look, throughout the entire weekend, NASCAR set the precedent of throwing the caution, really, no matter where the wreck is at on the racetrack. We had Riley Herbst going through the tri-oval sideways, no caution. He saved it. It was a great save. And should have NASCAR thrown that caution right then and there? Probably not. Not really. I mean, but that's my opinion. I mean, we could go back to when Martin Truex Jr. at Kansas, lap 3, 2024, gets sideways off of turn 2 or 4 or 3. It was turn 3 because he blows a tire, doesn't hit a wall, doesn't hit anybody. Caution flies. Caution flies there, but it doesn't fly through the tri-oval at Daytona for pack racing, which is not even arguably. It is way more dangerous than what Martin Truex Jr. Experienced. Then we're going down the back straightaway. The whole freaking field's caught up in it. No caution. But we're going to throw a caution 100 yards before the start-finish line in the truck race. We're going to do it during the duels. We're going to... when was the other one? There was another one, wasn't there?
Well, the Xfinity, they called it right after the caution, or right after the checkered flag.
Yeah, some dumb like that. But, so you set the precedent of throwing the caution when the wreck happens. Okay? I'm convinced. Tyler Reddick lifted while he was going through that wreck because he expected the caution to come out. Well, shit. We're going to finish second. Might as well just chill out, cross start finish line, whatever. Somebody had to go over the radio and tell that man to hit the freaking gas pedal and get back up to the rear bumper of the 24. There's no freaking way he lost that much ground to the 24 going into turn 3. There's no way. Yeah, he scrubbed the wall a little bit, but by God, it's not going to shave off 15 miles an hour. Tyler Reddick expected to have the caution come out. He lifted out of, common courtesy of all the other guys around him who were wrecking, and just, I don't know, man. I think Tyler Reddick lifted. I think it killed his chances at a 500 victory. And honestly, you want to take it a step further? NASCAR saw a 2311 car fighting for the win and didn't throw the caution.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could be right. Yeah.
I'll be that guy.
Oh man. And this is my whole point to this inconsistent finishes at really not even just super speedways. We saw it last year so many times too. Kansas with the I guess a lot of them with the 1940s camera technology, right? The terrible.
I remember Atlanta won when they were wrecking into the pit road, and they didn't call a caution.
Yep. Or when Suarez at Richmond wrecks with his door exposed to the field, and then they wait until after he had come to a stop before they throw the caution instead of just throwing it right away when his door's exposed. Like, just so, and even like Parker Kligerman last year, like, what, 13 fucking centimeters from the checker flag to win that race at the Roval, and they throw the yellow. I mean, just, this is what I'm talking about. My idea here is, if we're going, I don't care how we do it. I don't care if we're wrecking and they throw that caution as soon as they possibly can. And that's, I feel like that probably should be the way it is done, because safety is key. We see it in, whenever an IndyCar race ends under yellow like that, I never bitch. An IMSA race, I never bitch, because at least I know they're going to do it consistently every fucking time, you know? Like, if they're wrecking, they're going to call that yellow, and the race is over. Let's just do that every single time. I don't want to see, and if NASCAR, you guys want to race to the checkered, I'm okay with that too. But we got to do it the same every time. We have to do it the same every single time. if we set the precedent early in the week, we're gonna throw the yellow when the wreck happens. Let's just do it the rest of the week. I don't care if we well, no, I do care if we do change it the next time we come back. I want it to be the same every fucking time, every damn time, and that pisses me off. It pisses me off having to sit there and watch their crappy cameras and some freaking little light on the bottom to try to determine who wins a freaking race, man. Races are won on the track, not on a review somewhere with terrible technology. Let's just decide these races the same every time. Let's just throw the caution when the wreck happens. Let's just call it that every time. Let's keep it consistent, and we don't have to have any bitching, moaning, complaining, and whining. And I think a lot of it too, Tom. I think why a lot of people hated this race is because their favorite driver didn't win. I truly think that a lot of people are bitching because somebody like William Byron wins, who, like you said, has the personality of a brick, and nobody really cares about him. He wins the race, and people don't like that. And I think that's why a lot of people are bitching about this race, because it was a really good freaking race.
Look, I'm going to take this stance here, and I'm going to take it off of this platform, okay? You can't convince me NASCAR cares about safety, all right? What the finish of the Daytona 500 was the correct call. It was the right call, all right? Let them race back to the line. That if we're going to do scheduled distance stuff like this, no overtime, whatever, they made the correct call. They did what was right for not only one, entertainment, but two, competition. All right? But what I'm mad about is what I'm disappointed in, really. I could care less. I've got so many other great racing series to watch and enjoy. NASCAR is on my bottom priority list.
Mm-hmm.
But what us as fans need to see, especially for new fans coming into the sport, is consistency. If you're going to throw the caution flag on the last lap for driver safety, then do it. Don't hover your hand around the button. Stop pussyfooting around with everybody. Oh, should I call this? Should I hit the button, guys? Look at this. No, just freaking hit it. Make the caution come out. Make it consistent. Because when we got all these Euros coming over here, which I doubt anymore because Donald Trump showed up to the 500. But, if you got all these people coming in and watching this sport, what's the main thing that they're going to look for? Competitiveness, sport, and when I watch sports, consistency. Mm-hmm. This main reason why I don't watch the NFL. That place sucks. Yeah. That thing is awful. That's a cult right there. But NASCAR's going that way. NASCAR is definitely going that way. They don't listen to anybody. They're in their own cult little world where they think is what's best for the sport, and they're not listening to anybody else. It's terrible. Terrible what they're doing. And, they need to figure their shit out, dude, honestly. They really do. They're killing the sport. Just make up your damn mind, actually. Just make up your mind. Stop doing this wishy-washy crap that we see on a weekly basis. Just stop. Just make up your mind. Have a set standard operating procedure when it comes to cautions being thrown on the last lap. Stick to it. Have train people, man. Come up with some training courses, something. Just be consistent. Just be consistent. And I don't want to hear another goddamn thing about driver safety this year after what I watched on the Daytona 500. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
No.
That's exactly where the last point that I want to talk about. We have to talk about Ryan Preece, right? Driver safety. Thomas, I think, was the other first one that jumped on here and started saying it, and I mean, it's 100% true. NASCAR don't give a shit about driver safety. They don't care. The fact that we built a car this unsafe that's ended careers, we've gone through it so many times, but the fact that we built an underbody on a car when we're at a track that's going 200 miles an hour, 190 miles an hour now, with basically... with a car that weighs, 3,300 pounds, something like that? I mean, basically creating an airplane wing. It's a wing underneath these cars. All it does is it takes a little bit of air underneath that thing, and that thing is blowing over every time. How have we not decided to redesign the bottom of this car to help somebody? They're going to add more roof flaps and wing shark fins and aero kits to the top of these cars to keep them on the ground, and none of that shit's going to fix it. The biggest, this is like, I don't even know. It's like tearing that wall down and then bitching because it's windy. Like, you're fixing the wrong shit, man. It's like you hire some roofers to come fix your roof, and then they tear down your siding, and they start putting it on the side of your house. You're fixing a problem. It's not even the problem, is the initial problem, which is the wing underneath the damn race car. Tell us you care about safety 80, 100,000 more times. I'm never going to believe you, because you're literally sending these guys out in freaking coffins. One of these drivers is going to die sooner or later. It's going to happen unless we fix this damn car. And if nobody stands up and says something, it's going to happen. I'm tired of listening to all these talking heads on the internet just blowing over past it, because they don't want to cost themselves more money. They don't want to make the sport look bad. They don't want to piss off the sanctioning body. I don't give a shit. I ain't paid by NASCAR. I ain't a shill for NASCAR. I'm going to say it for the betterment of saving, hopefully, somebody's freaking life, man. It's going to happen. Somebody's going to get seriously injured or worse at one of these super speedways, and they ain't going to get out of that car. We have to fix this shit now, or somebody's going to freaking die. And Ryan Preece has been the guinea pig for this so far. Unfortunately, we've seen, God, at least 5. If you look at the top 10 most violent wrecks in NASCAR history, Preece has probably got half those freaking spots, dude. And Newman's probably got the other 4 or 5 spots. I mean, and Tom said it perfectly. Ryan Newman was a big advocate for the Newman bar. They finally did a lot of safety innovations with all of his violent crashes he had. Now we need to do something. We need to redo the bottom and call it the Preece bottom or something. I don't even care what we call it. We got to fix the bottom of these race cars. I don't care if we just do it on, well, it doesn't even matter if we just do it on super speedways, because we talked about it earlier. We saw a flip at Vegas. We saw a flip at Kansas. We saw a flip at Charlotte. We've seen Texas. A flip at Michigan, at Texas. We've seen flips at all these different tracks of this next gen car. And it's the design of the car. It 100% is the design of the car. We need to fix it, man. We need to fix it, Tom, because somebody is going to seriously get hurt, or worse case scenario, die. And we don't want to see that, man. We don't want to see that. And it's the fact that we are going to keep dancing around it till it actually happens and then address it is absolute bullshit, man. We need to be proactive and fix it now. This underbody is terrible. The fact that we have that on a car that weighs this much, and they're like, well, they do it in sports cars, IndyCar, or all these other racing series that have these underbodies. It's not the same. They don't weigh the same amount as these cars do. They don't go in a circle in a pack that is 30 cars deep and racing side by side, nose to tail the whole time. It doesn't happen in those races, man. And they're not racing. They're racing on like road courses most of the time. This is different. You're going to kill somebody in NASCAR. Fix your fucking underbody, dude. I don't care. I'm pissed off at you.
Terrible car. It always has been a terrible car. It was doomed from the inception.
We just need to retire it at this point. I mean, and the thing that's funny is this car is designed to be a road racing car. If you look at it, this car is literally basically a glorified GT3 stock car, basically. It's a hybrid of those. And we don't go to road course races but 4 or 5 a year. Why? This is the problem, man. It's like you build a car to be so good at this style of racing, and then you do everything but go to that style of racing and try to make it work at places that we've had cars in the past that have worked there. Like, it just makes no sense to me. It makes absolutely 0 sense. Take 1 step forward, 8 steps back every time in NASCAR. And they never learn, and they don't care. They just don't care about safety. It's the entertainment factor. It's the whoa factor. It's the Joe Schmo watching the ESPN highlights at the end of the night, seeing Ryan Preece fly through the air, thinking it's the coolest damn thing ever. And the NASCAR fans are going to bitch because they wreck too much, then bitch because they don't wreck enough, and then bitch because they wreck just the right amount. Like, it's like, and then they're going to bitch about this Daytona race, and we're going to preview the Atlanta race here in a second. But then they're going to tune in to Atlanta and tell you that's the greatest thing that ever happened, you know? when it's clearly they're being gaslit. I mean, that's just fix your fucking car, NASCAR. That's all I'm saying. You're gonna kill somebody. You're gonna kill somebody, man. This is ridiculous, especially with the inconsistent cautions, Tom. It's all one whole big happy fuckery, man. It's so bad.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying it since I've been saying it since the inception of the car.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I've been saying it since Kurt Busch Pocono.
Yep.
Was that 2023? 2022?
Yeah, I think so. 2022, 2023, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Alex Bowman,
Yep.
Texas.
Yeah. Eric Jones, back injury.
Eric Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's bad.
It's a bad car. You just get rid of it, junk it. It ain't it.
Alrighty. Well, that was the Daytona 500 or Daytona Speed Week race recap. Yeah. I could quit bitching. I keep bitching, but there's just no point. Those are our thoughts. If you guys missed them or whatever, just jump back and watch some segments from this podcast. I think we had some pretty good talking points tonight, and the same things we always bitch about. All right, drivers of the week. I'm gonna give this guy a shout out because nobody else is going to. Everybody's been hating on him all week, but he finished P5 in the damn ARCA race with a torn up race car. Elio Castroneves. I would love to see you come back to do some more NASCAR, but with this way this racing is anymore, I don't know, man. You might just want to say nah. I'm also gonna give a shout out to old Jordy Anderson, P7 Xfinity Series race. I know it's not really a shocker because he always seems to do this, but man, he was non-factor all day long. I forgot he was even racing until I saw the final results. So good to him. And then Jimmy Johnson, P3, which I mean, in the grand scheme of things, if you look at his career, it probably looks like a bad performance for him. But to be honest, I don't think he's even finished a race in the next gen era in his limited starts. And for him to not only finish it, not be any wrecks or anything, and finish P3, that's an amazing race by him, dude. So nominate him. Also, Boneheads of the Week, Amber Balkan, Wrecking Ball mode engaged, caused basically every wreck in the ARCA race. Absolute clownery. Chris Wright, ARCA break moment. I don't even think it's an ARCA break. Well, it is an ARCA break moment because he didn't have any brakes. That was just stupid. Absolute moronic clownery at its finest. What a moron. Probably a nominee for Bonehead of the Year by the end of this year. We'll find out. We'll see who can top him and be that stupid again this year. And then Joey Logano being over-aggressive in the Cup race. I mean, just a 3-time champion, a Daytona 500 winner, 130-something Cup wins, all the experience he has. I mean, that was just stupid. Like Kyle Busch said, he was in such a hurry to drive himself into a wreck with 40-something miles to go. And then point standings. Ryan Blaney is your points leader, 1 point ahead of Byron, and then 3 points ahead of Cindric. All right, Tom, let's preview the races this weekend. We got 3 races. We got Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup at Atlanta. A notable entries on the truck entry list. Michael McDowell is back in the 07 for Spire. KFB is racing this weekend in the number 7 for Spire. And then Luke Fenhouse driving the number 66 for ThorSport Racing. Xfinity, Eric Almirola will be in JGR's number 19 this weekend. And then Cup Series, old Stack and Penny Man is back behind the wheel of the 01 Rick Rowe Racing Machine. JJ Yaley with NY Racing in the 44, and BJ McLeod with Live Fast Racing. They will all make the show this weekend, not having more than 40 cars show up. All right, so Saturday, we got a doubleheader truck series. The Freight 208 is the first race of the weekend. This race actually last year was pretty decent with the trucks. KFB, I remember, won it. I see the race playing out a lot like it did last year. The Spire trucks were really fast at Atlanta last year in both the spring and the fall. And with that being said, I'm going to take Michael McDowell. I think he gets his first ever Truck Series win this weekend. He's so good at Atlanta. I think he's probably one of the best drivers at Atlanta. And I think it's going to show when it gets to this truck race. I think he wins and wins running away. I think Kyle Busch is going to be a factor. Obviously, I think Rajah's going to be a factor, but I think Michael McDowell is just that much better at Atlanta. I think this is his race to win. And then my dark horse, I'm going to go with Rio Ruggiero. I know it's kind of a weird dark horse considering that he's in a Tricon truck, one of the best trucks, but God, he impressed the hell out of me at Daytona in that truck race. He ran really good all day long. His lack of experience showed at the end, making some pretty bad moves and kind of putting himself in position to not win that race. But I was impressed. I think this guy's going to win races this year. Why not this weekend as a dark horse at Atlanta?
All right. For my favorite, I'm going to go with the back-to-back man. I'm going with KFB for this race. I don't really need to explain. I just think he's, I mean, obviously he's a GOAT. So, and he's obviously a GOAT of the Truck Series. We'll see how he does. It'd be a pretty good should be a pretty good showing of what he's still capable to do. You know what I mean? Like, he showed some pretty good stuff at Daytona, just got Daytona, but we'll see. And then for my dark horse, I'm going with the guy who finished P10 at Daytona. That's Frankie Muniz, baby. What an absolute run for him at Daytona. Awesome to see him get a top 10. And yeah, I'm gonna choose him for Atlanta too. He's got the strategy down. It's basically a super speedway race. All you got to do is do it again.
Hell yeah, I like those picks, man. I think it's gonna be a good race between the Spire and Tricon trucks in this race. I think that's what the battle's gonna be between. It's gonna be fun to watch. All right, Saturday, the Xfinity Series, the Bennett Transportation 250. I was gonna take Austin Hill. I'm not taking the low hanging fruit here. I'm gonna take his teammate. I think Jesse Love goes back to back. I think this is gonna be an absolute banger of a race. The last two Xfinity races, I think, or maybe the last three at Atlanta, have been fuel mileage races. Like really intriguing. Guys running out of gas late. We didn't have a late race caution. Kind of had like some weird strung out lines at the end and some fuel strategy and then some big runs. I think it's gonna play out a lot like that, and that's gonna make it a good race in my opinion. Obviously, I think it's gonna be the best race of the weekend. I don't even think it's gonna be close. I think the RCR cars are gonna be super fast. I'm just gonna take Jesse Love. I just feel like we see a different Jesse Love this year than we've seen last year. He's gonna win lots of races this year. I think he's a dark horse. I think maybe even a favorite to make this championship for this year. I think he's gonna be the man to beat this weekend. And then my dark horse, I'm gonna go with Anthony Alfredo. He had a really good Daytona run going there until he had some issues late, got involved in some late race crashes. This track plays into his driving style, I think, perfectly. I think if you were to pick one track on the schedule for Anthony Alfredo to win, besides maybe a Daytona Talladega, I think it would be this one. I think Anthony Alfredo is going to be super fast, super competitive. I think he's going to be in the top 10 late, depending on how the runs and everything develop, maybe the fuel strategy at the end. Maybe he finds himself towards the front. Maybe he has a chance to win this. It's going to be tough to beat those RCR cars, though, so that's why he's a dark horse. But I definitely see him getting a top 10 by the end of this race. If he can keep his nose clean, put himself in position late with the fuel strategy, watch out for Anthony Alfredo.
All right. I actually had a really hard time with this. I really debated on choosing two dark horses for this race. Um, but I just don't think you can deny RCR at the moment when it comes to super speedway racing. I was going to choose Love, but I'm going to share the love here a little bit and go with Austin Hill. Hate the guy. I think he's an absolute dunce, but man, is he fast at super speedways. So I still think he has a legitimate shot to win here at Atlanta. He did it last year during this race, and so he should have won Daytona too. I mean, yeah. I'm gonna go with Hill, and then for my dark horse, this is where it really comes to a head for me because I think Creed's gonna be up there. I think the Siegs are gonna be up there. I think Jeb Burton can be up there. I think that Atlanta really suits the drivers that don't get to win a lot. It suits them in a place where they can put themselves in a position to win a race. But you know what? I'm gonna go with my absolute my dark horse that I'm choosing. Basically from 2022 on. I'm going with Ryan Sieg for my dark horse, and for obvious reasons. He's just so damn fast at these racetracks. Sincerely thought he was going to win a race last year. I'm even more confident this year that he's going to win a race. And honestly, Atlanta, I think he's the guy to beat RCR.
Heck yeah, man. I like that. The home track win for
Yep.
Ryan Sieg this weekend. That'd be super sick. That's a great dark horse pick. Like I said, this race is gonna be freaking awesome, man. I'm excited about this Xfinity race. I think this could be the best race of the weekend. I don't even think it's gonna be close. So make sure you guys tune in on Saturday. I know a lot of you don't watch Xfinity, but CW, like Tom said, gold standard of broadcasting. It's gonna be a fantastic broadcast. Whether the race is good or bad, it's still gonna be a good broadcast worth watching. And I just don't see how it could be a bad race. So I'm really looking forward to this race. All right, Cup Series on Sunday, the Ambetter Health 400. This is an easy one for me, man. I think this is going to be a Penske-dominated race. I mean, it's going to be Cindric, Logano, Blaney basically up front all day long. I mean, they're going to dominate it. It's not even going to be a competition. You'll see other guys cycle to the front or at least try to at certain points of the race, but when it's all said and done, when you got 10 laps to go, you're going to have those three Penske cars, at least a combination of two, maybe all three of them up at the front of this field. And with that being said, I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney winning this race. I think he's due, especially after last year where he won this race, but the 1940s camera technology didn't pick it up good enough for him to get the trophy. I think that Ryan Blaney is going to get some redemption from last year, and he's going to win this race, lock himself in the playoffs, start this dominant Blaney season that he's going to have this year. I just don't really think there's anybody else to look at besides his Penske cars this weekend. My dark horse, I'm going to go with Michael McDowell, coming off the momentum with the truck win on Friday. Whether he wins it or not, I think he's still going to finish up at the front of that field. This is a really good track for McDowell. McDowell is so good at being able to develop runs, be able to take runs. He's patient race car driver. He keeps his nose clean. He's going to put himself in position late. Daytona was kind of a tough race, especially considering he made the transition to Chevy. Kind of had some issues throughout the week. Just it never had a fast enough car. I don't think that's going to be a factor in this race. I think just the way that this track drives, the handling is going to be at an absolute premium because, like me and Tom said, I think that Atlanta's starting to wear to a point where it's going to actually start to get good here in a couple of years. It's still not there yet, 100%. But Michael McDowell's one of those guys that just knows how to control his car, keep his car up front, keep it clean, develop runs, be able to make smart decisions. He's going to be a factor in this race at the end.
Yeah, I literally agree with everything that Jay said about this Cup race. So I'm not even going to dig into it. I'm just telling you, I'm going to choose Cindric, just really because, I mean, I would have chose Logano, but I'm choosing Cindric just based off of what he talked about in Daytona. I think it really showed his maturity and that he can actually win one of these things. So I'm going to go with Cindric. And then my dark horse, I'm going McDowell as well. I just think that, yeah, I think, I don't really think there's a better candidate right now.
No, he has that.
Other than, actually, you know what, Jay? I am going to share the love. Okay? I'm going to switch my pick right now. I'm going Van Glizzy.
Van Glizzy, I like it. He had one of his best races in Xfinity last year in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Finished, third or something like
that? Dude, he was leading laps at Daytona. Mm-hmm. And then got caught up in somebody else's crap. So, yeah, I'm choosing Van Glizzy, actually. I'll share the love.
Hell yeah. I like it. All right, time for our fantasy picks for this week. 5-driver lineup. I think it's going to be Penske dominates. I put all three of them on, Cindric, Blaney, and Logano. I'm also going to go McDowell because he was my dark horse, and I think he's going to be a factor in this race late. And then I kind of went on a curveball because we could only use drivers 10 times all year long. And I was looking at the stats, dude, for this one. Daniel Suarez's average finish at Atlanta is freaking impressive, dude. I think it's like a 3-point something. I'm like, dude, that's a good pick for my fantasy. So I'm going to put Daniel Suarez in my 5-driver lineup this week, joining Cindric, Blaney, Logano, and McDowell.
Yeah, so I'm taking all the Penske too, 2, 12, 22, and then on the flip side there, just because of what we saw really at the end of the race at Daytona, Bell and Hamlin, they're just so freaking quick. Like I said, it's Bell's year. Bell's gonna win the championship. I don't think there's anybody here who can stop that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and have him as my championship pick. But God, he was fast at Daytona. So was Denny Hamlin. They're going to carry the same speed here.
Heck yeah. That's a good driver lineup. All right, next are matchups. We got some interesting matchups this week. We got Joey Logano and William Byron. I'm going to take Joey Logano, and I don't think there's really anything to explain here. Penske's just going to be that good this weekend.
Same. Yep, I got Joey Logano.
All right, next one is Daniel Suarez and Kyle Busch, KFB. I'm going to go Suarez over Busch just because the stats don't lie, man. When you have an average finish like Daniel Suarez does at Atlanta, I feel like you just kind of got to take him in this situation. We really don't know about Kyle Busch, man. Like, could it be a bad luck year? Could it be a good one? I don't know, man. I'm going to go with the tried and true here on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing it for the feel goods. I'm going with Kyle Busch.
Heck yeah. I love it. All right, next one is Bell and Blaney. As much as I think Bell or Blaney is going to win this race, I'm just going to bet on the fact that, like Tom said, Bell's going to win the championship this year, and if you win the championship, you are going to be consistent everywhere you go. I put a lot of stock at Blaney winning this race. What if he gets wrecked out early in this race? I'm going to have my assurance policy with Bell over Blaney in the matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I I just don't think you can just deny what Penske's got going on right now. I still think that Penske is faster than Gibbs at plate races. Um but let's be honest here. Both Penske and Gibbs got wrecked out at Daytona and they were both fast. So I mean, we really didn't get to see a lot out of them, battling for the win of the race. I still think Penske has the advantage though, just by a little bit at super speedways. So that's why I'm choosing Blaney.
All righty. The last one, we have the guys that sat on the front row for the Daytona 500, which is interesting. Cindric and Briscoe. I think this is a no-brainer. I think Cindric is going to be in the top 3 at the end of this race. I mean, if Blaney doesn't win, it'll be Logano or Cindric. I mean, that's just the way I feel. And then maybe the dark horse of McDowell, maybe at the end. I don't know. I'm just being confident, but yeah, I don't think this is a competition, man. I'm taking Cindric all day.
I don't. Yeah, all day, all day.
Heck yeah. Alrighty, those are our picks for this weekend's races at Atlanta, as well as our fantasy lineups for the NASCAR Fantasy at Atlanta. I think I'm third in the fantasy right now, and I think you're P2 right now, Tom. So, you're doing a little better than I am out of the 5 people in our league. So, we'll see as it continues on here through the rest of this year how bad I could fall off a cliff or how good I could do at the end. I don't know. We'll see. But if you guys are part of that fantasy, or if you guys still want to join, I think you could still join. You're going to be starting at 0, but I mean, there's so many races left. I mean, you could probably climb back in. So I think I've got a post in our Discord as well as our community page on YouTube. And I think I also tweeted it out. So if you guys want to get on that NASCAR Fantasy League, just jump in there and join at any time. It's all just good fun. Maybe there's a week by week stats too, standings. So like you could see how good you did one week. Maybe you beat everybody one week. Maybe you lose to everybody the next. I mean, it's fun just being able to see if you can win one of the weeks. So the overall is tough to win though. We have some really smart fans of this channel that are really good at fantasy stuff. Alrighty. Yeah, that'll pretty much wind down this podcast. We're gonna do watch parties here in the month of March. We've had fun during this last 2 months doing kind of the watch parties for the races that were kind of the mainstream ones. We did Chili Bowl, we did Rolex, we did Daytona 500. But now when we get into the month of March, we're gonna start opening up to you guys. We're gonna have polls out on the channel. Me and Tom after this podcast are gonna come up with a poll for our March watch party. But we also decided we are going to do the IndyCar season opener at St. Pete watch party. That's the one me and Tom really want to do. So we're going to do that one as well as one that you community vote for as well. Because my goal specifically this year is to do 2 watch parties a month. I think it's going to be fun. At least 2 a month, maybe more, depending on how it goes. Obviously, we're going to do the whole triple header on Memorial Day weekend again for the Motorsports Day, Merry Motorsports Day. It's going to be fun again. So we're going to have lots of watch parties. A lot of fun hanging out with you guys in the chat. Everybody that tuned in over the last few watch parties we did, we've had a great time interacting with you guys. Also, if you guys want to stay up to date with everything happening with our channel and our racing community, which is the greatest racing community on the internet, if I have to say so myself, all of the links to our socials are down in the description below. They're also on the screen there for you as well that you can look them up to stay up to date with everything happening here at the Dega Boys channel. If you guys want to help us even more, we have a Patreon account where exclusive videos and everything on there. If you guys want to watch those or at least just support us a little bit, all those proceeds will go back to help us make bigger and better content for you guys here on YouTube. Same with our merch store. We have a Dega Boys merch store. That link is also in the description below. Go buy you some nice, sweet swag, some Big Daddy Imps, some Big Daddy NASCAR, some Dega Boys, Big Daddy Dega Boys, whatever it may be. We've got hats, t-shirts, sweatpants, beanies. I mean, coffee mugs, bumper stickers. I mean, all kinds of cool stuff on there. If you guys want to help support this Dega Boys YouTube channel. Also, like I said, we've got the best motorsports community on the internet. Our Discord is in the description below. If you guys want to join it to stay up to date with all the news, rumor, drama, memes, whatever it may be, we share motorsports stuff by the hour, it feels like, on our Discord. You don't miss a thing if you join our Discord. And you can also maybe meet some friends, post some of this information and news that you guys find that maybe we don't. And it's always a fun time. It's open to you guys. You guys are welcome to post whatever you guys want on there as well. It's just a good place to interact and stay up to date with everything happening in motorsports if you love racing as much as we do. This has been fun, Tom. This was fun. And Daytona 500 weekend's over, and we're getting into the meat and the potatoes of the motorsports season. IndyCar on the way, Formula 1 on the way. World Dirt Championship this weekend at Qatar for the prelude or the prelim. That'll be fun to see all those new cars hitting the track and all the new teams, driver lineups in the World Endurance Championship. Cannot wait for that race to hit us here next weekend. Yeah, that's all I got for tonight, Tom. That was fun, man. That was fun. We will,
Yep.
yeah. Then if there's anything else you want to add, man.
1 week closer to IndyCar, baby.
Hell yeah, brother. I love it. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the races this weekend. Enjoyed this podcast. Share it with your friends. Hit the like, subscribe button. Turn on notifications. Stay up to date with everything we post here on this channel. And with that being said, thank you guys for watching. We'll catch y'all in the next one. And have a great rest of your week.
Switching tax services can be a drag.